It's Matchday 33 Picks edition of the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up at underdogfantasy.com, promo code PLGP to get up to $1,000 in bonus credits. Welcome, everybody, to the Premier League Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. My name is Malcolm Bamford, coming to you from Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. Today is, who knows, it's April, definitely. It's Friday, almost certainly. It's Friday the 18th of April. We are here to pick over what was frankly a madness of a European quarter-final midweek. Before we do a full slate of Premier League games, which starts around about 27 hours from now, joining me on this second most holy of days, it's what baby Jesus would have wanted, Barry, would be to us make some picks. Apparently in Mrs. Penaluna's conservatory, stifling a yawn, it's Mr. Barry Penaluna. Barry, how you doing?
I'm all right. Lee's in the chat already asking if I had a few drinks last night. I didn't. It's just far too early. Owing to your tardiness and the fact that, you know, we've got to get up early and do it because you couldn't be asked to do one last night.
Couldn't be asked, Barry, or greasing the cogs of industry. Do you know what I mean?
Prioritising the wrong things, I think, is what we'd say.
Trying to single-handedly drag this country's economy off its arse, you know, so I can pay me taxes and resurrect the NHS, get the streets of Birmingham tidied up by going out to work. I was at a wedding last night, and the wedding started, and it started with the bride whacking out a full 25-minute set of like karaoke songs. I've never seen anything like it. Like, she did all sorts. I got Deacon Blue, Real Gone Kid, she did. But the highlight was Pink Pony Club at the absolute top of her lungs. Like, and let me tell you, she had a big pair of lungs, especially that wedding dress pushing them up. But Pink Pony Club at 1,000 decibels was pretty impressive. Like, my eyebrows nearly flew off the top of my head. So that's where I was last night. So yeah, we have gone at a weird time. It is weird. I've got early this morning, Baz. We are the IT department's gone out because I don't know. She's gone out to do what women do at 9:15 on a Good Friday morning. The kids stayed at the mates, so I'm by myself. So I'm currently live sweating, Barry, over 12.5 on the handicap, plus 12.5 in the Crusaders v the Blues, in what I believe is Australian Rugby Union. But I'm not 100% sure. However, since I put it on about 6 minutes ago, the Blues have scored 2 tries. So it scores tied now. They were 14 behind when I put it on. Plus 12.5. It's now 19-0. So good start, Barry. Possibly. This could be the start of this could be my origin story when I'm a billionaire by Monday tea time. This is where it all started. Bit of a madness of a midweek, Baz. I don't know. Do you want to go day by day? We'll go team by team in chronological order.
I'll be honest, Mark. I thought we would just brush over last night and just go straight to
we will.
Newcastle 5, Palace 0, because that's all anyone's interested in, surely. But no, you're right. We should probably go day by day.
We will touch on last night. I'm not talking about it for longer than 30 seconds. I've had that feeling today for the first time in ages. You know, like we used to say when Newcastle got hammered or whatever, the Sky Sports News wouldn't go on. You'd never buy the Chronicle, the paper. Talk Sport would go off on the radio. I had that last night for the first. I haven't had that feeling for a long time because Newcastle have been half decent. But the minute that game finished on the radio, I put Absolute Country on the radio. I just got to listen to Leanne Rimes singing "You're Still the One I Run To," that one. So rugby this morning rather than Sky Sports News, or just I can't listen to them saying, "Oh, what a tremendous night at Old Trafford." Purely childish.
The same, Malcolm. As soon as that ball left Maguire's head, I turned the telly straight over. I've never got any interest in watching the aftermath of that sort of thing. It does not interest me at all. And another thing I've never, what I've probably never done in my life is watch any other English team pick up a trophy. Because the second any cup final that I ever watch finishes, I turn it over because I've no interest in watching anybody else's celebrations. Nobody else deserves to be happy about anything. I'm not having it.
No, I think we might have. The West Ham Conference League was the only one. I remember talking about that, and we kind of begrudgingly thought, "You can't look. This is what might happen in your life." And you had to be happy for them. And, Barry, because we were magnanimous about that, it has happened in our lives. But yeah, Tuesday night, Baz, Aston Villa. First, it was a fucking great game of football. And I'm only saying that in a nice way, because I'm not going to say that about the game last night. It was a nice way because Villa got beat. So I was ready for them to get beat. It was time. Like, I didn't mind them having a little bit of fun, but it was time to go, there's a blue bloke taking a penalty in the rugby, Barry. Yes, the flags are up. We've hit the front back, 22-19. Yeah, it was about time they got knocked out. But it was the 10 minutes after they went 3-2 up was absolutely incredible. Like, and how Consett didn't get his head on that ball. Oh, my days. He had so long to watch it. Just come across, just on your forehead, 4 yards out, and he completely missed it. It was a great game. Yeah, it was just an unbelievable game of football. It was loads of fun. Me and Bob were bouncing around watching it like it was good. Did you get that one?
Yeah, I watched that one. I mean, I was on the PSG team total, so I actually won my pick within 30 minutes or something. And I did enjoy it. I mean, I was sort of on the fence with it. Once Villa got themselves back into it, I was torn a little bit as to whether I would like to have seen them gone through. My main concern is I think we need PSG in there to make sure Arsenal don't go and win this whole thing. So for that reason, I'm quite happy PSG got through. But yeah, cracking game, as you say, really entertaining.
Yeah, I had both teams to score over 2.5, so I was done in half an hour as well. Barcelona was a bit of a coupon buster. They attempted to shit the bed. I mean, every team really, apart from Arsenal, lots of teams attempted to shit the bed this week. The other games were all right. Arsenal then on Wednesday was just really a non-event. The only biggest takeaway I had there was I took the two unders, didn't I, on the same page and hated them. At half time, I was absolutely delighted because they were both 0-0. Then somehow it's the right pick, Baz, because it was 0-0. Arsenal score, which is fine. Then just give a goal away. Why have they done that? That hasn't helped anybody. And then I was just sitting in the corner waiting to start the baseball show. And I said to Bob, these fuckers will score on the break here in the 93rd minute at 4 minutes to 10 or whatever it was. And Martinelli slots that in the corner. So I effectively won that, even though I lost. And then, yeah, Milan Munich was a good second half, good knockout football. Took the under on that. But please, Milan went through. We kind of said the wrong team was favourite in that one. Anything on those two, Baz?
No, other than I told you your picks were going to be bad. Those two. As soon as you put those two out, I told you I didn't like them. As I say, unlucky in the Arsenal game, I'll take that. I was on the wrong side. I needed 3.5 for me in the Arsenal game, so I fell short on that one. But I did have the overs in the Bayern Inter game, which was a winner.
There was one Premier League game on Wednesday. Newcastle humped Crystal Palace 5-0. The main takeaway with that was, Lee's already mentioned it in the chat. Did you see the XG on these, Barry?
I did. My brother sent it to me after the game saying, what a load of bollocks this is.
Terza messaged it to me because Terza is the archetypal old man shouting at a cloud. So he must have these things like waiting for something to happen. I'd just got home from the match and he messaged me, look at this shout. Yeah, the XG was Newcastle 1.86, Crystal Palace 2.13. Yet the actual G was Newcastle 5, Crystal Palace nothing, which was a bit mad. And I just said to Bob on the way home, we were just too good for them. That was that plain and simple. There was no greater analysis. The way Newcastle are playing at the minute, they're clearly in the top 3 teams in the country, clearly. And they were just too good for them. And they've been too good for Liverpool and Arsenal. since Christmas as well. So a bit of a stepping stone there, brilliant.
I mean, with
And
the
then last
XG,
night,
Mag, just coming back
Man
to the
United.
XG, because people do like to have a bit of a meltdown about XG stats from now and now. I just don't think you need to take it that seriously. Like, it's just
No, of course
one
not.
little metric.
You know what it is?
What it tells you is Newcastle's goals come from chances that weren't straightforward. I mean, that Murphy goal, if he tries that shot every week for the next 15 weeks, he'll probably score once. So Murphy's chance is less than a 1 in 10 he scores from that position. Isak made his look very easy from where it was, because that wasn't an easy finish. And it just, the fact we finished on less than 2 XG just shows that we were very good at taking off what were difficult chances. But it's just, who cares? It's not worth having a meltdown over, like.
No, I totally agree. We know what it's for, but people who don't like that sort of stuff will use it occasions like that. Veins in the chat had the both teams to score. I had the same pick. It was over 2.5 for both teams to score, but the Eze penalty.
I mean, if you mention that Eze penalty,
as well.
obviously Eze gets a lot of grief because it looks shite, doesn't it, when you miss them? Whereas if you score it, everyone thinks it's amazing. I thought Pope was brilliant. Pope knew exactly what he was doing. He made that little feint as if he was going to go one way, and he knew that was going to commit Eze the opposite way. And he's done similar before with Ivan Toney, who also doesn't miss many penalties as well. Pope saved one against Toney, didn't he? Big game-changing moment, that, really, because that could have been 1-1, and then literally 1 minute later, it's 2-0 Newcastle, and it just unravelled from there, didn't it?
That was a bollocks penalty decision, but yeah, I watched it when I got back, and the minute he saves it, it's the commentator. What a terrible penalty! What a terrible penalty! But had Pope sat on his arse and gone the other way, oh, what a brilliant penalty! It can't be both, depending on the outcome of it. Like, if you run up and kick the back of the ball as hard as you can, and it whistles into the top corner, that's a good penalty. Like, I'm just not buying it, because Saka did the same, and everyone's like, oh my, what's he doing? What a shit penalty. The keeper goes the other way and everyone's giving him a little tug. It's a load of bollocks. Run up and kick the back of the ball as hard as you can. In fact, if you don't do that, it shouldn't be allowed. If I think you've not kicked it quite as hard as you can, even at 95% of capacity, I would disallow it. I think that should be the new route. So there you go. I never mentioned who else is in the chat. Pete's here. Pete, how are you doing? Newcastle are fucking elite, Pete says. He's right. And Lee Smith's here. I assume all the people in the live chat must have gone to church early this morning. They must have gone for the 7 a.m. mass, and they are back now in order to have a good gamble.
Well, there are a lot more people in the chat than have commented.
Sorry?
There's a lot more people in the chat than who have commented,
really.
so far. So, if you are lurking, make sure you give us a shout and don't forget the thumbs up.
We're probably far too early for the great nations of the USA and Canada. That's our fault for working. My fault for working. Man United bars, anything to add? I mean, they won the game, then they lost the game, and then they won the game again somehow. I don't really know what happened.
Absolutely bonkers, wasn't it? Let's be honest. No fun at all for anybody. I mean, I was laughing my tits off at 2-0 in extra time. I was thoroughly enjoying it. It was really made my evening. And then they went and spoiled it. Well done for Man United.
There was quite a few mushes around, actually. Andy Williams, who gets in the chat, messaged me saying how happy he was. So that's a mush. That's a strike on your record. Matty Glover, who I go out to work with, did the same. That's a mush. But then me and Max were in the van coming back from Sea Houses, and we both laughed and said how great it was. So we all mushed it. I think there was a lot of that going on. So it just reminded you just to stay honest. Especially
and if there was ever an advert for not leaving the game early, that was last night. I saw a video on Twitter this morning of hundreds of Man United fans outside the ground, unable to celebrate that moment because they fucked off early. That'll teach them, silly bastards.
Me and Max were talking about that last night. We were talking about the Masters at the weekend and saying, like, what do you do if you don't like sport? That was sport, like the pinnacle, the drama, like life. You can go to the cinema, but that film's going to finish the same way every single time. You can go to a gig, you can do whatever you want, but not having that once in a lifetime. Like, all right, even if it was them fuckers last night, there was some kid, I know they showed a picture of some kid crying at 4-2 and then laughing his tits off at 5-4. And as much as I hope he has a terrible life, he will remember that for a long, long time. Like, and you can't recreate that in anything at all. We were talking last night about having the kids, like, but you know the kids are coming. That's not a surprise. Like, you're not sitting one day watching EastEnders and she fires one out. You're like, oh shit, what's that? You know it's coming, so you're prepared for it. Like, you've got a little bed upstairs and everything, and some nappies in the corner. That's all prepared. No one was prepared for that last night. So I'm not buying any of that. So well done. A big well done to Manchester United and all their supporters. All right, we're going to make some picks, but NBA playoffs here, apparently, according to this. And SGPN is running another free contest. Pick every NBA playoff game, ATS. That's against the spread. $1,000 first players prize winner. Enter today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA playoffs. Sportsgamblingpodcast.com/NBA playoffs. Edge boost. If you've ever had your deposit blocked by your bank right before a big bet, 2 a.m. in the morning, Edge Boost has got your back. It's the first ever bank account built for bettors. Edge Boost gives you fast, reliable access to your funds. You can move up to £250,000 a day, which Lee frequently does. Gets better every time you deposit into a qualified gambling account. You can earn cashback rewards up to 0.5%. Edge Boost is a debit card, which makes it easy to get started. Verify your identity, and you are ready to go. Tons of responsible gambling tools as well. Sign up for Edge Boost today, edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN, and we're brought to you by mybookie.ag. Every sport, including the NBA playoffs, customers are accepted from a ton of locations, crypto payouts. Head to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for 100% deposit match up to $1,000. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Okay, full slate of Premier League action. I said at the top of the show we were 27 hours away. We're not. We're about 30 hours away because there's no lunchtime game. So it's all 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock kickoffs in 1, 2, 3, 4 3 o'clock kickoffs starting on Saturday. Josh has listened to us live from Australia. Hiya, Josh. How you doing, Josh Martin? Up the tune. You've missed the Australian chat, Josh. I'm watching the Rugby Union. I'm watching the Crusaders and the Blues. And with 50 seconds left, I'm going to win this bet, Baz. Yeah, great start. Happy days. What a result. Don't know what could possibly go wrong. Well, you text me when I'm 800 quid in the hole by 5 o'clock tonight. So, where are we going? Saturday lunchtime. Brentford take on Brighton. Brentford are 7-5 plus 140. The draw is 11-4 plus 275. And Brighton are 13-8 plus 167. It's 11th v 10th, Baz. It is very much a mid-table. You couldn't get more of a mid-table game than 11th v 10th. 9th v 11th. 9th v 10th. 10th v 11th. Two of these are two teams that they'll play until one of them wins 2-1. It's a load of shite, isn't it? I'll be honest, these two teams are cheating. They're just going to turn up with no plan. Let's have a game of football. And they might win, and they might lose, and they might draw. I'm not having it. Brentford are quite hard to beat. They've only lost 2 of the last 8, which were against Newcastle and Villa. So not bad form there. Really hard to predict. 0-0 v Chelsea and a 1-1 v Arsenal in the last 2. Brighton haven't won in 4 games. They've got a good draw at Manchester City, and then they've got a home draw against Leicester. They're just all fucking about. It's really, really hard. This game annoyed me to handicap. So, on the grounds that all 3 outcomes are entirely feasible, I picked the one that was the best price. Makes more sense, doesn't it? I'm going to pick the one that's going to pay the most. Because they don't care what happens. They're not going to try and affect the outcome. They're just going to go and have a lovely time. And at 90 minutes, they'll all go home. Doesn't matter what the score is. So I had to take the draw, Baz, at 11-4. Just because, like I say, something's got to happen. And I'll get more money back if that happens than the other 2 things. Astounding analysis there. I'll take the draw, 11-4 plus 275, Baz.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right. It is a hard game to land on any side, so why not take the draw? 1 win in 6 for Brentford now, having just faced a tough stretch of games. Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle and Villa, they've played in the last 5 games. Picked up only 2 points from those 4. Did get a win against Bournemouth in the middle of that. They've not won in 9 home games now, and they have been short of goals at home. Only 1 goal scored in the last 5 at home, which is a little bit of a concern, particularly with where I've ended up as a bet. But Brighton have seen a bit of a drop-off. No win in 5, including a disappointing draw last week against Leicester. And as you say, they look very evenly matched. The recent home form of Brentford suggests not a lot of goals, but the Brighton form flips that on its head. 9 league games in a row for Brighton have gone over 2.5 goals. They've got no clean sheet in 6, and they've conceded at least 2 goals in the last 4 games. Brighton. Brentford, team total is where I've ended up. I just think Brighton's defence has dropped right off lately, shipping plenty of goals. As I say, hard to land on a side, but I like the team total. I like Brentford over 1.5 team total at 10 to 11.
Fair enough. Vanes wants the unders, 0-0. The last 2 head-to-head games, actually, which is a nice stat that Vanes has pulled up. Pete's telling us that the Good Friday picks are up on the page. Follow Pete's Picks, 01, over on our Twitter. Get some Good Friday horse racing. I considered going up to Newcastle this afternoon, but then I also considered the Corbridge point-to-point on Monday. Like a bit of point-to-point action, Baz. Posh Totty up there. 3 o'clock kickoff is Crystal Palace against Bournemouth. Crystal Palace, odds movement report, were 7-5 plus 140. Are out to plus 155 now, slightly bigger than 6-4. 5-2 the draw, and Bournemouth are 8-5 plus 160. They're nipped in from plus 170, I assume, on the back of Palace getting humped on Wednesday. This was another hard one, Baz. What have you got?
I've felt all right about this one. I would suppose it depends how much weight you give to those last 2 games for Palace. Rough week for Palace, 2 away defeats and 10 goals conceded. And on the other side, Bournemouth cracked an 8-game winless streak with a decent win over Fulham on Monday night. Prior to this week, Palace had been one of the form sides in the league, and Bournemouth had been the opposite. Bournemouth were going backwards. And I think, let's say, Palace conceding 10 goals is bad. They did play Man City and Newcastle, who are 2 teams who are capable of scoring plenty of goals on their day. Prior to Monday's game, Bournemouth had no clean sheet in 10 league games, and they'd conceded 2 goals in 5 straight games. I just think Palace at home here might be just what they need after a couple of bad away defeats. They've got 4 wins in a row at home, including decent wins over teams like Villa and Brighton, who are, probably decent comparisons for Bournemouth here. And I'm just not ready to write off Palace. I think they have been good for a while, and 1 bad week doesn't change that. Whereas Bournemouth is a bit different. They went off the boil for about 4 or 5 weeks. I think I expected Palace to be a bit shorter in the betting here, which immediately took me to wanting something as on the Palace side of it. I thought 6-4 Palace was a decent price. You're saying they've got a little bit bigger than that now. But I've opted for the team total. Palace to score 2 or more. It's another team total pick, but it's plus money, 6-5 for Palace to get a couple of goals. I think it's a decent price. Bournemouth defence have been out of sorts for a while now. I'll take Palace over 1.5 team total at 6-5.
That's not a bad angle, Baz, because it's defensively they've been the problem. Obviously, they scored twice at City. They scored 3 times at City. The third one was chalked off by an inch. And they looked kind of capable in the first half until they gave up against Newcastle. Palace look like they're doing exactly what I thought Newcastle would do pre-cup final. If you remember, I was that Monday night against West Ham when I was totally bullish on how rubbish Newcastle would be with one eye on the cup final. And Palace have got this semi-final coming up next week. Alan Pardew mentioned it in the studio the other night that they appear to be phoning it in because they've got the fear of injury or suspension or anything else ahead of this cup semi-final because they have been battered twice. And it was a really weird performance the other night. Bournemouth defied their poor form and all the trends with a 1-0 win at Fulham. So that was no help at all in trying to handicap this because before either of those last 2 games, you would have just taken Palace, but then Palace turned up to be rubbish and Bournemouth, A, keep a clean sheet, which they don't often do, and B, won a game. My handicap here says, I don't know when I made these notes, Baz, but the line says, as long as Palace show me enough against Newcastle, I'll bet them. And then I went to the game and they didn't show me enough to want to bet them. So that's out the window. They beat Brighton in the last home game, which is a decent comp. I'm going to take the draw again, Barry, through absence of alternatives. I think both teams will be happy to draw this again and just take a 1-1 and we'll clear off to the
2-2.
FA Cup. You what?
We'll take a 2-2, not a 1-1.
Yeah, okay. It's not the 1-1 of the week, Barry, so yeah, we can take a 2-2 draw. I'll take the draw, which is 5-2 plus 250. Everton take on Manchester City at 3 o'clock on Saturday. Everton are 14-5 plus 280. 13-5 plus 260, the draw. And Man City are 9-10 minus 111. Fucking useless at picking Everton, turns out. I'm useless for picking quite a lot of teams, but Everton are higher up the useless chart. They've got above Tottenham and Man United in the league, which is hilarious. 1 defeat in 13. So I don't really want to back Manchester City at this price. They were an inch away from being 3-0 down last time out at home. Everton won't collapse like Palace did either. The trends, Baz, were quite clear. 6 unders in a row for Everton. 5 of Manchester City's last 7 have gone under. And it's a bigger price than City to win. If you just wanted to cheat and take City to win. I felt like we did that the other night with Barcelona. Just like, you get a name team, a premium team at 5-6. And it feels like an easy route to get them. Didn't work like that. And I don't want Man City really to beat anyone, especially this Everton team. I'll stick with the unders, Baz. The trend, all the pointers are there. Everton can... It wouldn't be surprised if this was another draw, of which more later. But under 2.5 goals, Baz. Even money, please.
Yeah, I mean, the unders was something I looked at and I've ended up somewhere else completely against my better judgment. Really good result for Everton last week against Forest at the City ground. But it is hard to forget they'd not won a game in 6 before that. And now just 1 win in their last 9. I think they'd reverted back to the early season form in terms of goals. Everton, 6 straight games, under 2.5 goals. So feeds into your play as well. City form's all over the place. But they have lost only 1 of the last 5 now. I mean, certainly clicked in the latter stages of the Palace game. But that definitely hasn't been the norm lately. 5 of their last 7 league games went under 2.5 as well. So there's loads of form for the unders. Everton managed to draw in the reverse fixture at the Etihad earlier in the season as well. Draws have been the MO for Everton. 6 of the last 9 have finished in a draw now. But at these prices, Malcolm, it's the classic Man City trap. As you say, Man City.
Have you fallen for it, Baz?
Man City against an average team at around even money. And I'm ready. I'm walking straight towards the big trap. I'm not proud of it. But Everton have only won 2 of the last 10. Everton aren't winning many games. And they've got no win in 5 at home. They might get a draw. They might do. But they can't beat City. And City at even money. That's where I've ended up. So I'm taking City to beat Everton at 19-20.
Oh, I'm glad I called that, Baz, before you put your pick up. I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in that trap. Good luck getting out of it. Underdog Pick'em, you can play any sport, win up to 100 times your money. Our code here is PLGP, and that will get you a special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus credits. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code PLGP. And Rhythm is your home for AI-backed picks and props. Rhythm is now live for Major League Baseball. That's a good podcast. Listen to that one. They've got models for NBA and golf as well. The thing to do here is they've got a couple of good deals at the minute. 25% off a monthly subscription with the promo code SGPN25. 50% off an annual subscription with promo code SGPN50. That's RITHMM, promo code SGPN25 or SGPN50. Baz, are you cooking anything good for Easter?
I will be. I've got a big leg of lamb. I'll be doing some. I'll be deboning. I'll be taking the bone out of it, and then we'll rub it up with a bit of butter, garlic, and rosemary inside and outside. Roll it up, tie it up, cook it on the grill.
Well, you see, I've got a leg of lamb. I would never consider deboning it, Baz. I don't know if that's in my skill set, is it?
I mean, the only thing you need is a decent knife. If you've got a decent knife, you can do it. YouTube video is the answer to how you know how to do it best. Like, but the key is a good sharp knife with a good point on it.
Also, I like to chew on the board like fucking Captain Caveman. One of the great pleasures in life is sitting with a board in your hand, feeling like a Neanderthal and gnawing on it for a couple of days. So, but I could always do the board separately, couldn't I? As well. Fair enough. Good. Tory's Grant. 3 o'clock on Saturday. West Ham United take on Southampton. West Ham are 1-2 minus 200. 7-2 the draw plus 350. Southampton 21-5 plus 525. Bad.
Yeah, West Ham not pulling up any trees at the moment. No win in 5. Only 2 wins in the last 11. Not many goals in general. Although the last 2 games have seen 7 total goals. 6 in a row. Before that, it went under 2.5. There's been plenty of goals in the Southampton games, though. 7 of the last 8 Southampton games went over 2.5. And Southampton have been slightly better lately. I mean, they were starting from a very low bar in that sense. But they kept Villa at bay for 3/4 of that game. And they'd scored in 4 straight games before that, including going ahead against Liverpool, for example. So West Ham, short of confidence, short of wins at the minute. I think this is one where Southampton could be at least a bit of a nuisance and at least make a game of it. So I did want to factor Southampton in here because I don't know what to make of West Ham at the moment. It's quite a straightforward pick for me. I think Southampton will score again. They have been, as I say, able to get on the score sheet regular enough. And West Ham might end up nicking it because Southampton invariably end up losing. But I'm just going to take the both teams to score, 4-5. It's a reasonable enough price. I think Southampton might give them a scare. Southampton might even pick up a draw here. But yeah, the pick will be West Ham v Southampton, both teams to score at 4-5.
I didn't want to factor Southampton in it at all, Barry. This is a prime spot where a team like West Ham, who haven't done much, they'll fancy this. They're going to batter them. They played well at Anfield. They showed a little bit last week at Anfield. They were probably unlucky losers. No win in 5, but they still can't find any consistency. But Southampton just continue to waste everybody's time. The latest instalment of which was a 3-0 home defeat last week. So I don't know where there's any faith in Southampton coming from that. The key form for me, West Ham at home to Leicester and Ipswich, which are the comps we like to use. They beat Leicester 2-0, they beat Ipswich 4-1. So they can cover again. They can go for the trifecta of covering the handicap against the dog shit teams. West Ham -1.5 is plus 135. It's a good spot for West Ham. They'll go and roll out. They'll win this 4-5-0. Honestly, comfortable. Alt ladder, Baz, if you want to go up the alt ladder. West Ham are going to batter them here because it's a soft game and they're a soft team and they'll turn up in a game like this. Lee's telling us West Ham are weird. Okay. Decent at Liverpool, but shite overall. That sounds like my kind of analysis. I'm banging to that. Tea time on Saturday. This is a good game, Barry. 5:30, 12:30 Eastern time. Aston Villa take on Newcastle United. Aston Villa are 13-10, plus 130. The draw 13-5, plus 260. Newcastle 9-5, plus 180. I just think, Barry, you have to bet on Newcastle in such good form. The form line recently really is absolutely bulletproof. Arsenal twice, 2-0. Liverpool dominated in the cup final. 9 goals this week. 9 goals in the last 5 days. 3 in the last away game. Everybody in top form. Everybody, like 1-11. And this is a very good comparison game. So that was part 1 of this handicap. Part 2 for me, Baz. This was a really good comparison game to when PSG knocked Liverpool out of the Champions League that week. It was a big emotional investment for Liverpool, big physical investment for Liverpool. They got beat. They turned up on the weekend and Newcastle just steamrolled them. Villa have just done exactly the same and then turn up on the Saturday against Newcastle, prepared to be steamrolled. Villa might have a little go. They're a good side, Villa. They've been playing well, but this is a tough spot. And I just don't like Newcastle as underdogs against anybody at the minute, absolutely anybody. They're playing very, very, very well. It's not a homer pick. I just look at them, watch them play. They were far too good for Palace the other night. It's a horrible spot for Villa, this. Newcastle at 9-5, plus 180 bet.
Yeah, I'm not quite as bullish as you. I think we could win it, but I didn't get there myself. Because Villa are in really, really good form as well. As you say, Newcastle are on fire. I understand why you'd want to take them. Newcastle top of the form table at the moment. Villa third, I think, in the last 6 games, if you looked at those in isolation. So 2 of the best teams in the league currently in terms of form. And ordinarily, would have been talking about Villa coming into this off the back of a grueling midweek tie. But I think it's less relevant here with Newcastle also having played in midweek 24 hours later. Although there's a difference. Villa were in a game right to the death, whereas Newcastle found themselves in a training match early on. So probably exerted a lot less energy into it. Hard to split the two on the form lines. Newcastle won 5 league games in a row. Villa have won 5 of their last 6. Plenty of goals. 6 of the last 7 for both teams went over 2.5. And I thought goals was probably the safest way to go for it. I just found it hard to split them in terms of those form lines, and for that reason, I went with the goals. I think both teams will get on a score sheet. Newcastle will probably score more, but I'm just going to take the both teams to score and the over 2.5 goals tagged on, 5-6 for Newcastle to go and win this with Villa scoring. But yeah, the pick is both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at 5-6 between Villa and Newcastle.
Yeah, that would not be a surprise, Barry, at all. Lee likes Newcastle as well. Harry joined us. Morning, Harry. Chelsea. Newcastle not to lose for Harry. Chelsea won last night. I didn't even check the scores of that stupid competition. It'd be different next year if we're in it.
They got beat. They got beat last night.
Did they? And then they went through, though, didn't they? Well,
yeah. But they got beat at home off Legia Warsaw 2-1.
Wow. I put on the telly, Barry, on BBC Two, King of Kings. Have you ever seen it? It's on every Easter. It's got quite a tradition. I like watching it.
Can you get a bet on it?
Oh, well. Over half a crucifixion if you've got it on in the next 20 minutes, because it doesn't look good for this fella with the long hair. It's like a 3.5 hour, like, epic Jesus thing. But every time I look at it, he's just getting hit with stuff. I couldn't be arsed, me, big and Jesus. It should just be called man getting hit with stuff. If they're not throwing stones at him, they're hitting him with bloody whips and palm trees. It's just a bloke getting hit with stuff for 3 hours. Like, couldn't be bothered. So the Premier League gambling podcast takes on religion. Sorted that out, but Harry's just in time for the 2 o'clock kickoff on Sunday between Fulham and Chelsea. Fulham are 9-5 plus 180. The door 5-2 plus 250. Chelsea have drifted here. They were plus 135. Then I'm around about 6-4 plus 150. So Chelsea on the slide bars. Fulham, Chelsea.
Yeah, I'm in good time with this one with Harry Doherty, our resident Chelsea fan, just joining the chat. Let us know your thoughts on this one, Harry. Because I'm still happy to fade Chelsea against any half-decent side. Why wouldn't you? They've just drawn to Ipswich last week, drawn against Brentford, who were out of form at the time. They lost last night against Legia Warsaw. Now, I know they were 3-0 up in that tie, but they still put a strong lineup out last night in that game. They had a really, really strong lineup, went and lost 2-1 to Legia Warsaw. They've only got 3 wins in the last 8 league games, Chelsea, and 2 of them came against Southampton and Leicester. We've already said those don't really count. They don't add anything to... don't add any weight to any sort of credibility or anything. It's just not good form, and certainly not enough to have any confidence in taking them as a favourite away from home. Fulham's form has been a little bit all over the place. They've alternated wins and losses for the last 8 straight games now. So 8 in a row they've went win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. And if that pattern continues, it puts them on course for a win here as well. At home, they've won the last 2 games against Spurs and Liverpool. And that for me is enough to take a chance on them here. I'll have Fulham to beat Chelsea at 9-5. I can't see why Fulham are underdogs at home to Chelsea. I don't get it. 9-5 is a big price. I'll take Fulham to beat Chelsea at that price.
It's a WTF for Baz. Chelsea expert Harry says Fulham win and both teams to score. So he's on your team. And I'm going to make it 3 out of 3, Barry, as well. The Fulham defeated Bournemouth was a head scratcher. They didn't score. They had 89 minutes in which to do so after they'd gone 1-0 down. But they've beaten Liverpool, they've beaten Forest, they've beaten Newcastle, all at home. That's 3 of the top 4. Good form this season. Back-to-back draws for Chelsea. And even, like you say, the 1-0 win against Tottenham, the 1-0 win against Leicester, does nothing for you. They're almost like defeats, in fact. If you beat them to 1-0, I think you've lost. Much prefer to back Fulham in this spot. Chelsea have got 1 away win in 10 games against the top 14 teams in this league. They've hammered a couple of the rubbish teams, but anyone half decent, you nailed it. First thing you said, I wouldn't back Chelsea against any half decent team. Fulham, 17-10 plus 170. Well, I don't think they're that price anymore. Price are they now? 9-5 plus 180. Interesting. Yeah, they have drifted a little bit. I'm doing myself out of 10 points there, Baz. Next up is a 2 o'clock kickoff on Sunday between Ipswich Town and Arsenal. Ipswich are 7-1. The draw is 7-2 plus 350. Arsenal 2-5 minus 250. Ipswich played quite well at Chelsea last week, found themselves 2-0 up, finished 2-2. They still gave up tons of chances and a 2-0 lead. Only 1 home win so far this season for Ipswich, so it's hard to pull the trigger on them at 7-1. Arsenal was a good performance in Madrid. Doesn't really change much. I don't know if I'm good enough to analyse what happened in Madrid the other night. If just Madrid were a bit pap or if Arsenal were brilliant. I'm probably a bit of a combo. I'm not sure they were brilliant. They didn't have to be. That's the thing. They were 3-0 up. Didn't change much. I took both teams to score in Arsenal v Brentford last week and it cashed at evens. Ipswich have scored in their last 4 games. Both teams to score, yes, a similar price. It's 19-20, minus 105. So I didn't really need to get away from it. Arsenal might be a little bit flat, might be a little bit after the Lord Mayor's show. They might have to graft to get a late winner and win 2-1, something like that. But BTTS, Baz, Ipswich v Arsenal.
Correct. I think Champions League Arsenal and Premier League Arsenal just appear to be 2 different beasts at the moment because the 2 performances against Real Madrid bear little resemblance to what they've been serving up in the league lately. Just 2 wins from the last 7 league games now for Arsenal, and they've got no win in the last 3 away from home. All 3 of those ended in a draw. 7 of the last 8 went under 2.5. And 6 straight away games for Arsenal have also gone under 2.5 goals. 2-5 is far too short for me for Arsenal, purely down to the fact it's all about the Champions League now. That's where their focus is. The league's gone. And after a big effort midweek, it could be a little bit of a letdown spot for them here. Now, obviously, Ipswich don't fill you with much confidence. Just 1 win in their last 9 games now. But the pick for me, gone down the same route as you. It comes from the Ipswich form line because Ipswich are rarely feeling to get on the score sheet. You said they've scored in the last 4. They've actually scored in 11 of the last 12 games. They've only failed to score once in 12. So 11 of their last 12 games have seen both teams to score as well. With Ipswich at home, I'll take them to get on the score sheet again. And exactly the same pick as you. I've got Ipswich v Arsenal, both teams to score at 19-20.
Next up, 2 o'clock on Sunday, Manchester United take on Wolverhampton Wanderers. Man United have drifted a little bit here. We're even money, are now 6-5, plus 120. 5-2, the draw, plus 250. Wolves are 11-5, plus 220. Wolves. Baz, this is you.
Yeah, what an absolute madness Man United have become. Another team where the European form and the Premier League form are completely incomparable. Another team where all of their eggs are in one basket now. It's all about the Europa League. They'll throw everything at that. And in that competition, they've still not lost a single game in the Europa League. It's absolutely astonishing when you consider how bad they've been this season in everything else. But in the league, it's still dog shit. They've won just 2 games in the last 9, and they both came over bottom 3 sides. And Wolves come in here in good form, just 1 loss in 8, 6 games unbeaten, and 4 wins in a row in the league. I was just looking at the form table for Newcastle and Villa. Wolves are actually up in 2nd place in the form table at the moment. Wolves will fancy their chances here after a tough Thursday night game for Man United, where they've got extra time, had to put a big effort into it. I think you've got to get a bit of Wolves here. Wolves as a dog at 2-1 was tempting, but I've gone for the team total. We just saw Man United concede 4 in back-to-back games. I know they played 120 minutes last night, but they still conceded 2 goals in normal time. Wolves put 4 past Spurs last week. So I love the Wolves team total here. Wolves over 1.5, team total at 7-4.
You arrived at that conclusion, Barry, at the exact same time as Jason arrived at that conclusion in the chat. Jason, how you doing? Wolves team total for Jason. I mean, it's funny that the result last night, whatever happened, I did these notes before yesterday, and nothing. I don't know what would have had to happen last night for me to change my mind, because it turns out a load of mad stuff happened, and I woke up this morning and I feel no different. I mean, it's 14th against 16th. There's 2 points between the 2 teams. One team has won 1 in 5, which was against Leicester. The other has won 4 in a row, 5 in 7, 6 in 9. And the out-of-form team is even money. Have a day off. You have to back Wolves. And then you can add in, if you want, the fact that they played for 2 hours and it was fucking took ages last night. 127th minute, like over 2 hours of football last night. The emotional investment, all of that. Lee points out in the chat that Amarin said basically they're just going to phone in the league for the rest of the season. They don't give a shit. You have to take Wolves. And Lee gave up the Cunha shots on target, 7-4 for 2 and 6-1 for 3 shots on target. So that's a nice little angle in from Lee. But you just have to take Wolves. There's no other course of action there, but 4:30 on Sunday is Leicester City against Liverpool. 10-1 Leicester, 11-2 the draw. Liverpool 1-5 minus 500. Not a particularly edifying spectacle. I can't imagine this is going to be. Wasn't a particularly attractive game to handicap. Leicester eventually scored a goal last week. In fact, they scored 2 and they got a point. It was exciting. I prefer to read absolutely nothing into that, Barry. I assume they're still absolute dog shit and wasting everyone's time. Liverpool were possibly fortunate to beat West Ham, but they did still score twice and they made plenty of chances. Leicester's last 3 home games conceded 3 against Newcastle, 3 against Man United, which is virtually impossible, and 4 against Brentford. So I think it's very reasonable to assume Liverpool can score 3 goals here. I don't think that's a stretch, Baz. The Liverpool team total over 2.5 is 5-6 minus 120.
Yeah, I mean, this one was a straightforward one for me. Liverpool marching towards the title now. I think they'll want it wrapped up as soon as they can. And you can't see anything but a Liverpool win here. But it was, for me, it was that stretch of getting to the handicaps and things like that. Because I think the handicaps you need to take them to win by 3. The goals themselves were priced very short, I thought. I mean, I wouldn't put anyone off Liverpool scoring 3 goals. But I just looked at what have Leicester done most weeks lately. They've lost a game without scoring a goal. I know they scored 2 last week, but prior to that, they'd lost 7 in a row without scoring. And they've lost 9 of their last 11 games without scoring. Liverpool to win to 0, plus money, 11-10. That was it for me.
I think Liverpool will win 6-1, Barry. It's not looking good for Jesus. Yeah, his mates just dropped him in it, but he's bang in trouble. Next up is Monday night at 8 o'clock. Tottenham take on Nottingham Forest. Tottenham 6-4 plus 150. The draw 13-5 plus 260. And Forest are 17-10 plus 170. Baz, finish us off with a winner.
Easy. I mean, having faded Man United after their Thursday night exploits, having faded Chelsea after their Thursday night exploits, it probably shouldn't come as a surprise that I might want to fade Spurs here as well. And particularly with Forest as underdogs. The only team Spurs have beaten in their last 6 league games is Southampton. They lost to Wolves, lost to Chelsea, lost to Fulham, lost to Man City. And there've been no home comforts for Spurs either. Being at home doesn't make a difference. They've won only 2 of their last 11 at home. Forest haven't been flying lately, and particularly away from home, they've been a little bit off the boil. They've lost back-to-back games now. But I think they were unbeaten in 4 before that. They did beat Spurs in the reverse fixture as well. And to be honest, I just can't believe Forest are underdogs here at 17-10, especially with Spurs having played midweek. And Spurs, another team where it is now all or nothing in terms of the Europa League. I'll take Forest to beat Spurs at 17-10.
So my instinct, Barry, was that pick. My instinct was it's a WTF. It's a wrong team favoured. But I got the fear for Forest. And it's because I watched that game. I watched a lot of Forest Everton last week. And they did look terrified. Now, they actually couldn't ask for a better team to come up against here. If you need fixing, Dr. Tottenham should be the team to sort you out. I mean, Tottenham winning 1-0 is just confusing last night because there's no patterns anywhere. And I've done this a few times with Tottenham games. It is so difficult that I've gone into the stats market, Baz, and generally successfully with Tottenham as well. Where I ended up was, so the Forest defence is kind of notoriously stingy, but they gave up 8 shots on target against Villa. They gave up 5 shots on target at home to Everton last week. Tottenham actually rank 4th in this division. 4 shots on target. They've done it all season. They've still got a ridiculous goal difference. It's mad. So Tottenham will have a right good go. Over 4.5 Tottenham shots on target is 4-5, minus 125. Tottenham, like I say, that is a stat in which they excel at. And Forest have been giving up more than that in the last 2 games. So it all fits that Tottenham can get over 4.5 shots on target. 4-5, minus 125. Barry, 10 games in the hutch. Do you want to lead us off with some exotic stuff?
Yeah, I can do. Just give me 1 second to scroll down here. So we will kick off with my lock. My lock here is going to be Palace to score 2 or more goals at 6-5. I was torn between that one and Wolves. But yeah, I've gone Palace to score 2 or more as my lock. My dog, there was a few that tempted me this week, but I will take Fulham to beat Chelsea at 9-5 as my underdog. My scorer, I'm going to go for Kevin De Bruyne. 9-2 anytime goal scorer. 12-1 first or last. He's now back in the starting lineup regularly. Had a goal last week, and I can just see De Bruyne. I can see the storyline of De Bruyne finishing the season strong, and everyone at Man City thinking, should we have let him go here? So yeah, I'm going to go with Kevin De Bruyne. I think 92 is a big price for him to get on the score sheet. My Call Me Pie Aka is going to be the fate of the Thursday night teams. I mean, I've already taken them in my regular picks, but this one's just Chelsea, Man United, and Spurs. None of them to win. So you get 3-1. So the bet is double chance on Fulham, Wolves, and Forest. So Fulham, Wolves, and Forest all to draw or win. 3-1. I like that as my corned beef pie aka. And my steak and Stilton aka is back on the cards. Try again on the cards. We didn't get there last week. I think we only got 1 of 3. Ryan Yates didn't start. Ugarte got his card. And I can't remember who the other one was now, but he didn't get booked. But I'm going to go for Joe Linton, Malcolm, at 2-1. Ooh. Joe Linton has walked a tightrope for about 7 weeks, where if he got 1 more card, he was getting a 2-match ban. The deadline was midweek. He can't get the ban now. So he's free to just go and kick people. And what does Joe Linton like doing? He loves kicking people and punching people and pushing and shoving. So Joe Linton 2-1 is a great price for a card this week because it doesn't matter anymore. He doesn't get a 2-match ban for it. The next one is Jefferson Lerma, who should have had about 3 cards through the week against Newcastle. He's at 2-1. So Lerma for Palace. And the final one's Tarkowski, 3-1 for Tarkowski. So Joe Linton, Lerma, and Tarkowski, all to be yellow carded, 36-1. Take the doubles as well. You'll get a nice little price if 2 of them come in.
So the bloke who grassed Jesus up he's now regretting it. He's all crying and that because he wished he hadn't, because he's seen what's gone on. So let that be a lesson to you, Baz, for today. If we take one thing away from today, don't be like that bloke there in the blue dressing gown. My luck's going to be West Ham on the handicap. I think they're going to mangle Southampton because it's easy for them. And that's what sort of team West Ham are. 27-20 plus 135. My underdog, I do like Fulham. I probably should have picked it, but I had to pick Wolves. Just it's funny. Wolves will beat Man United. Corned beef pie. I get both teams to score in the games at Palace, Ipswich, and Tottenham is 15-4 plus 372. You can get for that. And my stake in Stilton, we're going back to the first 3 games on the card, which was Brentford, Brighton, Palace, Bournemouth, Everton, City. They're all going to draw. 3 draws, Baz, in those first 3 games is 48-1. And at any time goal scorer, because West Ham are going to score 5, Nicholas Fulkrug, he's going to be the one who ends the season strong. He hit the bar last week against Liverpool. I think he scored the week before. He got a header against somebody. Fulkrug, having had a really fragmented season, will finish with a few goals and give everyone false hope for next year before he's shit again. So Fulkrug at 4-1 first and last, 11-8 plus 137 any time. Baz, we have done it. Anything you want to tell the people about? Oh, Baz has ladders. Sorry, I can say, every time you put your hand up like that, I remember. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Yeah, so I have got a ladder. Having won one last week, we've got to go back in again. I'm going for corners this week, though. I like the Palace-Bournemouth game for corners. I think this one could be end-to-end. So I've gone for match corners in the Palace v Bournemouth game. Start off at over 10.5 at 5-6. Take a little 2-step jump. Over 12.5 is 9-4. Over 14.5 is 11-2. And then we'll go up in 1 from there. Over 15.5 at 9-1. Over 16.5, 12-1. Over 17.5 is 16-1. And we'll finish off top of the ladder this week is over 18.5 match corners in the Palace-Bournemouth game at 22-1.
Lovely. What's Easter weekend looking like for you up in Newcastle?
Well, I'm only here till tomorrow morning. I've been up for a couple of nights already. We're going to go down the coast today, take kids down the seaside, go and play on the amusements, have some ice cream. And because it's Good Friday, you've got to have fish, haven't you? So it'll be fish and chips later on.
Nice.
So yeah, had a, as I say, a few days up. Took them bowling yesterday. Beat them again. So, that's good.
How many area? You bragged
about this
figures,
Malcolm. The answer.
87 or something.
The answer is treble figures. That's all you need to know. It was treble figures. 2 games.
Right, okay.
Both in treble figures.
101.
That's my minimum requirement is to break 100. And it's not always easy, but I did it twice. So yeah, it's good. So yeah, other than that.
Sorry, mate. Go on.
Go on.
And then I quite like that you regularly visit Newcastle and we at no point make any attempt to spend any time together. We're just not interested, are we, Baz? It's quite a nice place for a male relationship to be in, that we're just not forced into fucking speaking to each other, seeing each other, say, oh, we'll go for a pint when we won't go for a pint. We just don't care, which is a lovely place we're meant to be at, Barry. I think
2 hours is enough,
that's a second lesson that you can take from the show today. It's been very much edutainment today. No, I like that, Baz, that we can just ignore each other for large swathes of time and it makes no difference. So, yeah, very good.
Yeah, that's it from me. Nothing more. What you got planned? Much going on?
No. There's no one here. There's no one here. The world's me lobster. So I assume I'll sit on the sofa and wait for the racing to start. I'm going to garden like a beast. My cosmos and my painted daisies are very much ready to go in the ground, Barry. I've been waiting until I was sure the last frost had gone. You what?
Let me know how Jesus gets on in King of Kings, though.
Yeah, Jesus updates to follow. Right, that was ridiculous. Thanks, everyone. I don't know what you're all doing up at this time on an Easter morning, but we appreciate you joining us. Good luck with your bets. We'll be back at some point in the next few days, and we'll see you all down the road. Cheers.